Good morning, McMinnville. I hope you guys are having a fantabulous Thursday morning. As we all know, at 8 o'clock, the polls have opened up. So if you have your precinct, you have to go today because today is primary election day, and this is your primary election pre-show. And again, some of these clips that I'm going to be showing you today are previously recorded. If you missed my Shake and Howdy event, I had several of the folks that's on the ballot come, and of course, most of them were Republicans, and we had a couple of independents show up. And if in order for for example, we've been talking about this, you need to show up today and vote because a lot of people, like I have had over the weekend, was telling me that they can wait till November to vote if they're in the Republican side of things because they thought that everybody kind of transfers over. And I was like, no, 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 no. For example, we have the Tennessee State Representative, 43rd District for White and Warren counties. Right now, the incumbent Paul Sherrill is there, as well as he's up against Tim Lewis and Robert McCormick. And with that said, I wanted to play these videos for you guys because I think it is very important. Let me get, I just want to make sure I give you the right one. So, with that said, this is your primary election pre show. I'm going to showcase all the interviews that I had with everybody. And first up, I am going to be showcasing you
931 is your
guys.
one stop for.
I had an interview with Mr. Paul Sherrill, and I just want you guys to uh, see these interviews. If you haven't went and voted yet and gone to your precinct, you're going to get to hear each and every one that showed up to the Shake and Howdy event that I had back in July on July 11th, right before the early voting happened. Good morning. Thank you for your comment. But with that said, first up, we have Mr. Paul Sherrill. And so enjoy this. And don't forget that tonight we are going to be broadcasting live at 7:20 in the Election Commission's hallway office at the admin building, where we're going to have your primary election coverage play by play with me and Jeff Barnes. And we do have some special guests that's going to come by. I know that Tom Davis said he was going to swing by and say hello to us as well. And we're just going to keep you up to date with all the, voting. And of course, early voting, we will know that right off the bat, as well as the White County votes that have come in. So between me and Jeff Barnes, we're two people you can trust. We have done election coverage for over 50 years of experience. And so, and another way that you can also listen to us tonight, several ways actually, I'll just get right into it. You can tune in to 97.7 FM or 960 AM, the WBMC station. They're going to be pulling our audio off so you can hear that live on the radio. So if you have anybody that doesn't have social media access, you will be able to hear it on the radio. Other ways to hear it is by going on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Warren First 931. And thanks again to Scott and Chad Graves for joining forces with us here at Warren First 931's primary election coverage. We're going to be also going live on their Facebook pages, which will be Wow, Star 107, WBMC, and also WAKI as well. So, several ways to listen to it. Now, if you're at work and you're like, I can't listen to it today, well, no worries. If you want to get the play by play action tomorrow or right after it gets done, we will be uploading our feed to Spotify as well as Apple, Amazon, and Audible. So if you are a podcaster and you want to listen to it, you can listen to us on Spotify, Amazon, Audible, and Apple currently right now. So we are working on some more things. As of Monday morning, I got an email saying that Spotify was no longer doing a live coverage. So, and I do apologize for that because we try to get out as much information easy as possible. But with that said, we understand. So please, several ways to listen to us, several ways of thanking so many people that made this possible. I want to say thank you to all our sponsors as well for the coverage tonight. I want to say thank you to Randall Walker Farms, Gateway Tire and Service Center, Prater's Barbecue, USA Gym, Creative Illusions, McMinnville Drug Center, Paul Holder Realty, Juicy's Wellness Cafe, Tops Frozen Yogurt and Metro Deli, of course, with Cumberland Biscuit Company. Main Street Media, Chad and Scott are doing a phenomenal job out there bringing local back to the radio. Also, Donald Hillis Realty and Auction, McMinnville Physical Therapy, Citizens Tri-County Bank, Smooth Rapids, Reddick Brown, Ford, and again, there you go. So with that said, thank you to all our amazing sponsors for making this happen. And also, I want to do a quick shout out to Joe from Collins River Barbecue. He will be providing our meal before the election coverage tonight. So thank you so much, Joe, for doing that for me as well, because he is one of my good friends and buddies. And again, I couldn't do the show without the support of this community. So with that said, starting off, we're going to do the Tennessee State Representative. I interviewed him back on July the 11th. It's Paul Sherrill. He is the incumbent. He is our Tennessee State Representative for the 43rd District for White and Warren counties. So without further ado, I'm going to exit the screen for just a minute, but here's the interview I had with him.
Warren First 931 is your one-stop for all things happening in Warren County. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify at Warren First 931. Join their text club or read their newsletter.
Okay, everybody, with me now, I am privileged to be hanging out with Mr. Paul Sherrill. He is our Tennessee State Representative for the 43rd District. He is the incumbent.
Yes.
And so with that said, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I am State Representative Paul Sherrill. I represent the 43rd District, which is all of Warren County and all of White County. With me today is my wife, Miranda, out in the audience. And
shout out to the wife.
Yeah. And we definitely want to say thank you to Miss Kelly for this opportunity to do this today. I think it is very important to try to get the information out to our constituents out in the district in the White and Warren County, and we do appreciate your opportunity. You know, we're very much blessed to be in this position. First of all, I do want to praise God and thank God that He's blessed me so much to have this opportunity to serve as the 43rd District in the Warren and White County, and we always hopefully try to reach out to our constituents as they call either at the office in Nashville or if they call it home. And I will give my phone number to either place here in just a little bit, but a great opportunity. We're just honored to serve. And like I said, we're always hoping that we can do good for our people in the district in Warren and White County and for the great state of Tennessee. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Anytime. And like I said, guys, the reason we are doing this is so you can meet each candidate, whether they're the incumbent or people that are running against. Because if Paul Sherrill has your values that you like it, that you think is 100% that you want to do, if they share, like I say, if they share the same values, then, you know, that's who we need to vote for. People that share our values. I say values before voting, but we still need to vote. But, you know, but if there's something that is not in your values, this is where people need to come out and start talking to them now. So we're going to be out here till 3:00 today. So please make sure to come out and check everybody out. We're at the detention at the elementary till 3:00 today. And Mr. Sherrill's here, as well as Scott Bean, Janice Boland. We got Tim Lewis. We got Miss Beth is out here, Miss Martin. We got everybody out here, like Robert McCormick, and I'm thinking and Tom Davis. But with that said, you know, this has been your position for how long now?
Well, the good Lord blessed me to be elected in 2016, the first time. And at that time, the district was all of Grundy County.
I was going to say, it changes.
It changed, and all of White and about 2/3 of Warren. At that time, we didn't have Morrison and didn't have Bile.
Right.
and we had a little part of Centertown. So that was the 43rd district. And then when we had the redistricting 2 years ago, it changed it where now it's all Warren and all white. And Grundy's in a different district now. So in 2016, as we was blessed from the good Lord to be elected, and then we run again in 2018, and then 2020 and 2022. So we're here again in 2024, running in the primary for state representative in the 43rd district again.
Right. So, and speaking of voting, it is happening. Early voting starts on July the 12th, and here in our Warren County area and across the board. But the last week of the voting, which will be leading into the 27th, you have 2 other places you can vote for. But starting tomorrow, you can go to the administrative building and do our early voting here in the Warren County area. But with that said, Mr. Sherrill, you know, you've been in the position, like you said, since 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
And what keeps you motivated to keep, you know, like I was just talking to Ms. Bowman, and she's like, she was wondering if she was going to rerun again. Has that ever crossed your mind, or is that just, have you just enjoyed being a service to the community that you just keep doing what you're doing?
Well, you know, I go back to my beginning of 2016, which I believe in my heart, this is what God wants me to be doing in my time of life. So, and I get that, I keep getting that encouragement from people to hang in there. They know what I stand for. And I try to listen to my people back home in the district, what they want. When I go to Nashville to represent the people in the 43rd district, I know how I believe, I know what I stand for. We try our best to look at things and vote on things that is hopefully conservative. If you want to say on the Christian values, different things like that we look at, you know, to try to bring things back to our district. And we've been very blessed to try to bring things back. And I believe we've tried to accomplish things. And there is so many more other things that we need to do and accomplish back here in the district. But, you know, it just takes time. It don't happen overnight.
No.
The state of Tennessee don't work on our time. They work on their time. It's just like the federal government works on their time. So, you know, it just takes time.
And with that said, some of the stuff, if you can talk about it, what are some of the stuff that as you've been in office, that you feel like you have accomplished that has just made, you know, the positive things of why you do what you do?
Like, okay, good. I'm glad you asked that, because in my first time of being elected, and as people can see out here in the audience, I carried a bill that would to help our volunteer rescue squad.
You want me to hold that? So you don't, I can hold it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is to help our volunteer rescue squad folks and to help our volunteer fire departments with a license plate that they can get without any cost. Now, they still have to pay the wheel tax, but they don't have to pay the state part. So that helps a lot of our people that it's out here working for us that don't get paid nothing for all the work they do. And they spend a lot of their time and a lot of their
volunteering,
money. I mean, you know, nobody don't pay for their gas. And they go and fight our fires, or the rescue squad goes and tries to help people that it's out there. Maybe they got lost, or maybe someone gets in the water and they drown. Our rescue squad people go get them people. They've got a great responsibility to do what they do for us. But we live in the great state of Tennessee, and we know Tennessee is our volunteer state.
Correct.
So they volunteer their time to go out and do for us. And we keep saying enough to say to our people in the great state of Tennessee, thank you to our volunteer fire department guys and women, and to our volunteer rescue squad people. We thank you very much for what you've done for us and do for us in the great state of Tennessee. So, and we just want to make sure that hopefully as time goes along that we try to do more to
Right.
help these people.
Yeah.
And really what helped to get this through was back when Governor Haslam was in office.
Mm-hmm.
To get this through was when they had the big fires
Yeah.
up in Gatlinburg, Smoky Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Dolly Parton helped clean that up too. I remember. Yeah.
So that helped to get this through because a lot of these people went up there and fought them fires and rescued people when that happened. So that was something that Governor Haslam helped to get through at that time. So that's just, that's just one thing that we've done, which is just a little bit for each person.
Right.
But across the state of Tennessee, it covers a lot of people. So I'm very thankful for that right there. So, and we've tried to work hard. I did serve on criminal justice.
I was going to ask you, have you served on any boards?
Serve on criminal justice, and now I'm on transportation and health. I was on some other committees, but now I'm on transportation and health. So, serving on criminal justice is something that's very serious in our society today because we have crime.
Yep.
We're blessed here in Warren County and White County to not have the crime that maybe they have in Nashville or Memphis or some places like that, but we still got to take care of our law enforcement.
Right.
So I'm just going to share with you this past session.
Yeah.
We had a bill that come through to help our law enforcement. If you want to be mean to a law enforcement officer or be cruel to them and not respect them, well, it was a misdemeanor. Now it's a felony.
Oh, wow.
So you don't be hitting on our law enforcement. We got to protect them. Yeah, you shouldn't. So, we all get pulled over and we got to respect them people. They're doing their job.
Correct.
And we just got to respect them people, so what they do for us.
And speaking of that, my husband, we have a farm vehicle. Yeah. And most of the license plates are on the front, not the back.
Right.
And we get pulled over all the time. And we're like, hey, and so finally over the weekend, we decided we need to have a license plate on the back that says farm truck or something. And that can also, I want to say that in what you're saying, can help out the law enforcement instead of pulling somebody over that's not speeding.
Yeah.
That can give them a little help,
I used to be a city police officer in Sparta for about 10 and a half years.
Okay.
So if the law hasn't changed, I believe it is, if it's 3/4 ton and above, the license plate can be on the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's right.
And then if, of course, he's talking about law enforcement officers, they might pull you over because they can't see no license plate. But I think it's a law if it's 3/4 ton and above, that the license plate goes on the front.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do got to take care of our farmers.
We do. We have to take care of everybody.
Yeah.
And some of the other stuff that you got coming up, that is there any law coming up that you're working on, a project, I should say, that's coming up that you want to see through?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Because here is a problem that we're having.
Okay.
And we got to have our state troopers.
Yeah.
We got good state troopers and they protect us. We're blessed to have them.
We do.
And they got a good raise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid good, but they have a dangerous job.
They do.
So here's the problem with that. A lot of our cities and our county departments, people are leaving and going to the state because they make more money.
Oh, okay.
So now we've got to come up with something to take care of our local city and county officers. So I've been talking to some people in Nashville to see if there's some kind of legislation that we can hopefully work on to try to get more money into the pockets of our city and county law enforcement officers to try to make up for that loss where they're losing people going to the state. So that's something working on.
And that's like if being reelected in your position, that's something you want to see through.
Yes.
100%.
I've been talking to some people in Nashville and hope and pray we get reelected in the 1st of August. And that's something we're going to jump on top of.
And if anybody needs to, if you couldn't come out today, I know that you're probably going to be going to the ice cream social later.
Yes.
That's going to be again at the farmers market tonight from 5 to 7.
Right.
And but is there going to be any other event after today and this evening you're going to be at that people can catch you at? I know that you come to the Main Street Live events all the
Yes.
time,
Yes.
but any other areas? Because, you know, besides communicating on social media and the phone, it's like, where else will you be?
Well, we try to be at different functions that people invite us to, just like you
Yeah,
invited us
exactly.
today.
Yeah.
And when you invite us or anybody else invites us, we try our best, if we're notified, to be at these places that people ask us to be at, to try to be a part of it, let people
Yeah.
know that we're out here in the campaign field
Yeah.
and working hard. We'll try to earn people's vote.
Yeah.
And so that's, I don't know what all's ahead of us. My wife is very good about trying to keep our calendar
Yes.
to where we got to be in Nashville
Right.
or to be in the district where it's
Right.
White County or Warren County.
Right.
So that's, we just sort of,
You do the
she
best.
will know more about it than I do.
Gotcha. But as far as social media goes, they can follow you on Facebook.
Yes.
And if they need to get in touch with you, is there a phone number you said earlier
Yes.
that they can call you as well?
Yes, ma'am. Our home number, I'll
Okay.
give it to you,
Okay.
is 931-935-8488. We are in the phone book.
Okay.
And then the Nashville number at the office is 615-741-1963.
There you go.
So,
And just make sure, correct me if I'm wrong on this. So when early voting starts, and of the primaries on August 1st.
right.
So if you win, do you move up to November? How does that work?
Have to run again in November.
Okay, you'll have
So,
to rerun
yeah,
again in November.
yeah.
Okay, because
So-
I needed to know that, just in case anybody wanted to know,
No,
in
right.
case like something happens, whether it happens or doesn't, they'll see your name again back in November
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
final vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
Well, again, thank you for this opportunity today. And
Anytime.
to our folks out here in the audience that listen ever how they are, we definitely want to ask for your prayers, support, and vote. And if we can help you in some way, feel free to call them numbers that we give to you. Reach out and we'll try to help you. There's sometimes we can help,
Yep.
sometimes we can't help. But anyway, if we can help you, let us know. And again, thank you, Miss Kelly, for the
Anytime,
opportunity.
Mr. Sheriff.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Warren First 931, keeping you in the know.
All right. That is our interview that we had with Tennessee State Representative for the 43rd District, Paul Sherrill. And again, like I said, we're going to be doing this is our, oh yeah. And people are texting me as we're talking. But with that said, the next one coming up is one of the two running against Mr. Paul Sherrill. His name is Tim Lewis. He is from Warren County. And this is the interview that I had with him. That again, you do need to come out and you need to vote for who, if you're on if you're voting Republican today. These are the people that you need to go and vote for today, because it's not going to be carried on to the November election like some people think. The primary election is to vote for the people so they can move towards that November election. But with that said, here is the interview that I had with
931 is your one stop for
Tim
all things
Lewis.
happening in
So
Warren
please
County. You can find
enjoy
them on Facebook,
as
Instagram,
you watch
YouTube, and Spotify at Warren First 931. Join their text club or read their newsletter.
So with us, we have Tim Lewis with us. He is running against the incumbent Paul Sherrill for the Tennessee State for the 43rd District. And so, hello, Tim.
How are you?
I am great. Just make sure that mic's right
Sorry.
there. No, you're all right. But with that said, for anybody that doesn't know who Tim Lewis is, tell everybody about you.
Well, my name is Tim Lewis. I've lived in Warren County now for about 24 years. I love the area. I would never move away.
Yeah.
It's become home.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the citizens of this district haven't been well represented the last few terms, and I'd really like to change that.
Yeah, like take your stab at it, as I say, you know.
Yeah.
But with that said, what motivated you or what made you decide to do this? I mean, you kind of like, what kind of changes are you wanting to see?
Well, I'm really wanting to see real conservative bills be passed in the Senate and in the House. We've got Janice Bowling that's working really well for us.
Yeah.
I love her to death.
Yeah.
And I just want to go up there and try to help her do, pass real conservative legislation for the people of Warren and White County.
I love it. And, and for everybody that doesn't know what that position is, what makes you qualified for that position?
Well, I think it's one of those things where I don't believe you're qualified for anything, right off the bat. You got to prove yourself. That's all I'm asking for. It's just the chance to prove myself. It's being a politician is something I never thought I'd really do.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if I'm not going to put myself out there to make a change, how could I expect anybody else to?
Right. I always say, when you're on the chair committee and the chairs have to go out every Sunday, if you don't like how the chairs are done, well, then instead of talking about it, you need to be a part of it.
Right.
I totally 100% agree. So like you were saying, some of the misrepresentation, can you talk about some of those? Like that you want to bring to light?
Well, I believe that we had two bills pass about illegal immigration just this last year.
Yeah.
But they were both reactionary bills. I don't think they really done anything to stop illegal immigration into the state.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a little too little too late.
Yeah, I got what you're saying. And then, for everybody that's out there, what are your values as what is Tim Lewis's values? Because that's the whole reason I put this together is because, I want the people to know what you want and how you want it. Like, how conservative are you? All that.
I do consider myself to be extremely conservative. I believe that I'm here because of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do anything that I didn't ask him about first.
Yeah.
You got to be on your knees in prayer every day. And I believe that he's led me to do this, and that's the reason why I'm here. I personally work a 40-hour-a-week job. Just a regular guy, blue collar. Never really thought of anything about being a politician, but I just feel like I've been led to this.
Awesome. I love that. So if anybody out there that wants to follow you, how can they do that?
Well, I don't have a website. I'm keeping everything low key. I don't have any corporate donors, which is something that I'm also against. I will not accept any corporate money. I only want to accept, help from people in my county.
Yeah.
That really want to see
from your community. Yeah.
That really want to see, change happen.
I love that. So can they follow you on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am. Facebook, Tim Lewis at Tim Lewis for TN representative.
Okay.
And that's my campaign page. You should be able to find it, no problem.
And other than today's event that you're going to be at, are you going to be also at the event at the farmers market today?
I will be. If anybody wants to come out and ask me any questions, or if they just want to come out and meet, that's perfect. I'll be out at the ice cream social at the farmers market.
I love it. And before I let you go, Tim,
Sure.
Is there anything you want to tell everybody before I let you go that I may not have asked?
Just that, well, no, I think you've covered pretty much everything. I'm just out here trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
And with the community and with the help that I've received just recently. And from everybody that I've talked to, I've gotten really good feedback that they want challengers. They want people to get out and run.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm here.
I love it. All right, guys. So this is Tim Lewis. He is running for Tennessee State Representative, the 43rd District for Warren and White counties.
Yes.
So if you want, again, early voting is going to be starting tomorrow, actually, at the administrative office here in our Warren County area. I don't know. I'm going to assume probably the administrative building in White County as well, but I don't know how they run.
Right.
But as far as Warren County goes, you're going to be able to start voting starting tomorrow. And don't forget that on Mondays, they open up later, like at 11 o'clock, I believe what Susie said, because they stay open late to almost 8 o'clock that night. And I think that's the only night they do it is on Monday. Okay, guys. I was just cut that because, of course, we were talking about primary election at that time. So that was Tim Lewis. He is a Warren County native and he is running against the incumbent Paul Sherrill for the Tennessee State Representative for the 43rd District for White and Warren counties. Now, coming up on the show, it's my interview that I had with Mr. Robert McCormick. He is our last candidate that is running against uh, the incumbent, Paul Sherrill. So, again, you need to go out if you are voting on the, as I'm showing these, because I'm going to read, as I'm going through this, I am reading the sample ballots as I'm going through them. And so, but with that said, this is the last candidate on the Republican side that is representing the White and Warren County areas. And here is Robert McCormick.
First
As
931 is your
the
one stop for
representative. Now,
all
he lives
things happening
White
in
County,
Warren County. You can
of
find him
course.
on Facebook, Instagram,
But
YouTube,
again,
and Spotify
you,
at Warren
still
First
listen to him
931.
and
Join their
check
text
out.
club
He has
or
been
read their
a
newsletter.
huge representative or representing us here in McMinnville. He's been, I think him and Yvette have been a huge part at Main Street Live since last year. They've been a part of Main Street McMinnville, that whole group and stuff. And he's on the board on a few of our boards here in Warren County. So if you recognize this face, yes, he might as well be a Warren County boy, but he's also he lives out in White County. But with that said, here is the interview that I had with him on July 11th. All right, guys. With me now is running or the opposed side against the incumbent Paul Sherrill. We got Robert McCormick running.
Hello, everyone.
Running for the 43rd District Tennessee State Representative. And with that said, for anybody that doesn't know Robert McCormick, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You know, your family, where you live, where you're from.
I live in White County. I've been a longtime business owner. I've got a heating and air conditioning service business. I didn't exactly grow up in White County totally, but my dad was in the Air Force. So we spent time. I went to school in Guam. I went to school in Edwards Air Force Base in California. I went to school in Langley, Virginia, just all over. And then when he retired, we moved back to Sparta, White County.
Yeah.
And that's where we've been, ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah.
And how long has your business, because your dad started the air conditioning business, correct?
My dad, he actually, when he retired out of the military, he went to Votech school here in Warren County. That's what they called it back then. Now they call it TCAT.
Yeah.
And so he learned the trade there. And then after he got out, he actually went to work he worked here at Zurich also.
Yeah.
And then he went to school extra.
Yeah.
So when he got out of school, he started a little business going, working on coolers. There were a lot of stores. They worked on their coolers. There was milk barns, dairy farms, and all that kind of thing. And then he actually took a teaching job at Warren County High School.
Oh, wow.
For a short time. He taught air conditioning and refrigeration there. And
I miss those days. Teaching us the simple things in life.
But he found out real quick that some of those children weren't there. They weren't all there to learn. Some of them were there to torment him. So
so he got out.
So he being a military guy, he didn't put up no monkey business. So,
I love it. As he shouldn't.
Right. So I think it's a little bit harder now to be a teacher.
Oh yes, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And me and you've talked about this on and off air several times already, but tell everybody, what made you decide to be in this position? Because you have been working at this for over a year now, really.
That's right. When my wife and I spoke about a year and a half ago, and we talked about it, and things felt right, and so we didn't want to just show up last minute, as a politician trying to get everybody's vote. So we started learning. We came here, we joined the chamber, we joined Main Street, we got to knowing people. I already had some customers over here, nursery owners, business owners. So that gave us a good start. So we started getting out visiting people, different communities. And it's amazing how many communities here in Warren County. I mean,
Yes, the different circles, as I say.
yes. So it's a beautiful county. I always love driving around in it with I love seeing all the nurseries and all the
Mhm.
trees lined up
Yeah.
and the shrubs and all that kind of thing. So
And you and Yvette, your
Yes.
wife, you guys are also a part of the Main Street
Main Street. yes.
McMinnville
Yeah,
stuff.
we fell in love with Main Street, and so we found out there was an organization, Main Street.
Yeah.
And so we joined it. We actually went to the farm to table, supported it. It was a great
Yeah.
event they have here, and so we help out also at Main Street Live every
Yes.
Friday night.
Every Friday, and it's still going on,
Yeah,
by the
still
way.
going on, and that's a huge amount of people there, and we've
Yeah.
gotten to know a lot of people, learn their names and their
Yeah.
faces, and so we're just hang out and have fun. It's a great thing, and we really enjoy it.
Yeah. And not just the Warren County stuff that you've been a part of. Robert, tell everybody, because this didn't just come up overnight, and the qualifications you have for this is immaculate, because you're in boards in the Sparta area as well, in White County, correct?
Yes. I started out on 911,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been on that board for about 12 years now. I've served as chairman for 6 years.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot of things, meet a lot of people. I then became a county commissioner. I'm on my second term, 6 years into county commissioner, and with that I've learned a lot about government.
Yeah.
The good things and the bad things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
that's
as I
right.
say.
That's right. So that's given me a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And then from that, I've served on the Tri-County Railroad Authority. We manage the short line from Tullahoma all the way down to Sparta.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And Bridgestone's one of the
And
biggest
you-
customers here. And then
Yeah.
McNeil Steel, which is coming in now, we helped work with Appalachian Region Commission and secured almost $1 million grant to
Wow.
put the rail system in there at McNeil Steel, which will be a big bonus here for Warren County. Also, I work with the foster children. I serve on the foster care review board under Judge Meadows, and that's Van Buren County and White County mainly. But
Okay.
that's
And what does the fostering board do?
well, what we do is we keep track of the children and try to make sure they don't fall through the cracks. Make sure
Yeah.
they're getting the help they need.
Yeah.
Their parents are, most of them are drug-related incidents where they've had to remove the children.
Yeah.
We've got close to, in Warren and White County, there's right at 200 children in state custody.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It is.
But, we don't make any binding decisions, but we do make suggestions to the judge as to if the parents are trying or if they don't try hard enough to get
Yeah.
off drugs and straighten their life out. We try to find these children, and some of them are teenagers,
Yeah.
try to make sure they're getting into a loving household, to get a future
Yeah.
going and not be
Just
stuck in
stop the
limbo.
cycle.
Stop the cycle. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
As I say.
And, of course, I've been a long time board member on the Upcoming Home Builders Association.
That's right.
I served 2 years as president of that.
Yeah.
And, so I've got a broad understanding of the community.
Yeah. And with that said, with all these qualifications, how are you going to implement that if you become the next Tennessee state representative for the 43rd district? What are you hoping to implement in the years to come?
Well, one thing, the biggest problem I've heard that we have here is drugs, and the drugs lead to crime.
Yeah.
And so, like I said the other night in the debate, Judge Moore and I spoke numerous times
Yeah.
about ways to help change the revolving door.
Yes.
And everybody, we all see it. They're arrested one day, and 2 days later, they're back out on the
Back in,
street.
yeah.
And that's the biggest issue that we spoke about.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't come into this with any agendas. But I do think that Warren County's not getting the representation they actually need.
Yeah.
So I'm here to make myself accessible. Everybody, I give my personal cell phone
You
number
do.
to, which is 931-261-8946. And then you can look me up on robertmccormicktn.com
Mm-hmm.
or on Facebook. It's Robert McCormick TN. So then check me out, look me out.
Yeah. And I know just like most of the Republicans are here, are they going to be able to, if you couldn't make it out today, are you going to be out at the farmer's market as
Yeah.
well after this?
After a while, I'll be at the farmer's market there. We've got an ice cream social, be a good little event right there at the farmer's market. Glad to somebody can make it out. Yeah, come on out.
Yeah. And it's going to be fun. All right. With that said, that is running, or the last person on the ballot running for Tennessee State Representative, 43rd District for White and Warren counties. So if you are listening to this and you're in the White and Warren County area, those are the three choices that you have to choose today to represent you in the 43rd District. You have, of course, the incumbent, Paul Sherrill. And he has been in that position, I think he said, since 2016. We also have the two running mates. We have Tim Lewis, a Warren County native. And then we, of course, have White County native, Robert McCormick. And once again, you need to vote for one of these three folks so they can move on to the November ballot. And while I'm thinking about this, if you have any questions about the November election, because if you miss the deadline to, if you did not register, if you're not a registered voter and you missed the deadline for the primary election, which was July the 2nd or 3rd, I believe, was when that cutoff was. Your next cutoff, if you want to be able to vote in the November election, will be, I think it's in October. I want to say October the 7th. Don't count me on the day. But the easiest way to register vote is by either going to your election commission's office and filling out the paperwork, or you can go on your .gov website, Tennessee.gov, and register to vote there. Or there's a new app called Go Vote TN. And whether you're a registered voter or not, that is not only the easiest way to register to vote, but if you are already a registered voter, you can put your information in there and it gives you notifications and things like that. So, with that said, make sure you register for your chance. Since you missed this primary election, don't miss out on the next one in November, because that is the big one. Because of course that's where we're going to be able to vote for our president and some other things as well. So, with that said, now we're going to be talking. We have on the ballot, which I do want to make sure. Let me go to this really right quick. With that said, of course, the United States Senate is also on, because I'm looking at the sample ballot right now. So if you are a registered Republican, when you go in the sample ballots, the first page is going to have the United States Senate, which you have to choose between Marsha Blackburn or Trace Whittem. And so those are your two choices. And of course, we just got done with the Tennessee House Representative of the 43rd District. You have Tim Lewis, Robert McCormick, and the incumbent Paul Sherrill. Now coming up, we're going to be talking with Thomas E. Davis. He is running against the incumbent Scott Desjarlais for the United States House of Representative District 4 seat. And so he got to show up. Unfortunately, we did not have Mr. Desjarlais nor the other running against Mr. Desjarlais, Joshua James, was not able to show up. But we did get an interview with Thomas E. Davis. He is also here in Warren County as well, as I'm trying to pull up the video for you guys. And here is the interview I had with Mr. Davis. So please enjoy
First
this.
931 is your one stop for all things happening.
But again, it was just really good getting to interview these guys and to get to know what their values and what they like. So without further ado, here is Mr. Thomas E. Davis. With me right now, and here's your microphone.
Oh,
That's the one for everybody to hear outside if they want to pay attention.
so I did need to grab this one because I was like,
You
I know you got this one, but
Well,
I wanted to grab
breaking
that
it.
one.
I keep breaking
Oh
it.
no.
Me and Tom go way back. We radio days. So
Yes.
but with that said, I have Tom Davis. He is running for the 4th congressional seat in the House. Is that how you
Yes.
say it?
U.S. House of Representatives,
U.S. House of Representatives.
Tennessee's 4th Congressional District.
There you go. And he is running against.
Congressman Scott Desjardins is our current representative.
Okay.
He is the incumbent Republican,
Okay.
and he's on the ticket also, the ballot. So I'm challenging him in a Republican primary.
There you go.
And voting for that is early voting is the 12th through the 27th of July.
Starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. And then election day is on the 1st of August.
That's right. And with that said, Tom, we have been friends for quite some time, but for people that don't know you,
Yes.
tell everybody who you are, especially, he has been in so many wars, guys, and fought for us. Go for it. Brag
More-
about yourself, Tom.
More than some, not as many as others. But
Yeah.
I served in the Army from July of '89 until April of '14. My job was 88 micros, a motor transport operator, just a kind of a cool way of saying truck driver.
Yeah.
A variety of duty positions. I was a wheeled vehicle operator, training NCO, tool room clerk. I was a squad leader, a drill sergeant, platoon sergeant, among other things.
Yeah.
I deployed in support of Operations Desert Shield, Desert Storm,
Okay.
Operation Joint Forge, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom.
Such a mouthful. I
Yes.
just love your stories when you always tell us what you did.
And then, so I left the Army in 14. And I went home to Arizona
Mhm.
and I served there for a little while as a police officer.
Yeah.
And then 2017, we moved to Tennessee
Yeah.
and have been in Warren County since then.
Yeah.
Currently live in Morrison with my wife, Cindy,
Mhm.
and our youngest child, Nicholas.
I know.
he's
Love
gonna be-
Cindy. Shout
yeah.
out Cindy.
So she might be watching. I don't
She
know.
might be.
She's working. One of us
Oh.
has to.
Hey,
So-
somebody's got to pay the bills, right?
That's right.
But with that said, what made you decide to run for this position? Because I know this is something that's been on your mind, because we've talked about, how government has been running for years in
Yes.
lengthy chats.
Yes.
But what made you decide to take the plunge this time?
So the short version is it was a calling. I
Yeah.
was called to it. So, and the way it stacked up on me was last year at our Memorial Day ceremony. I was asked by my VFW post, 5064 here in McMinnville.
Shout out.
Shout out. That's right. To be the guest speaker.
Yeah.
And so it can go a couple different ways as doing your speech.
Right.
The VFW has some canned speeches that you can give, or, it's fine. You write your own.
Yeah.
I chose to write my own.
Yeah.
And kind of in that laid out some things where responsibility for the condition of our country, where responsibility is at.
Yeah.
And overwhelmingly a good response, positive response, like,
did.
yeah, okay. I think I only had one negative, like, hey, it's not a, place to be.
Yeah.
And my line of thought was how better to honor those that gave the last full measure than to point these things out and, why we stand as a nation. But anyway, I was asked at the end of that
Mhm.
event, if I had ever considered going into politics.
Wow.
And my answer was no.
Yeah.
And
Right
other
away.
than that, like growing up, I want to be president,
Yeah.
but any serious consideration, no, it's a big undertaking. So anyway, kind of through the year, I had some things stack up and just kind of, looking around at the process, like, all right, I should probably be more involved.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, finally, I started looking at how I was being represented at different levels and,
Yeah.
Election cycles. And I was like, all right, here I got to, the U.S. House of Representatives and started looking at the voting record and just kind of the things that how I've been represented. And I was like, okay, this is where I get in or where I can fit in.
Yeah.
And take a different look.
Yeah.
And Congressman Desjardins has been in the seat since 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my personal opinion is 12 years is plenty.
Mm-hmm.
We each have our own opinions about it,
Right.
but personally 12 years is plenty.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, let's do the
try
thing.
this.
And,
Yeah.
and here we are. And it's been, overwhelmingly positive response to as I meet people.
Yeah.
I'll hold that one, but
Yeah.
I had a very, probably the most, I don't know what word I want to use, but like the biggest response.
Yeah.
And it was for the positive, but just like
Yeah.
the way the guy framed
it.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just like, wow, okay.
Well, I see. Yeah,
Um,
I do
so-
think, we've talked about this on Link's time. I think there should always be a time period, and
Yeah.
it always depends on, I say, the person's age and, there's circumstances that
Yeah.
need to be put in. But with that said, what makes you feel qualified for this position? I know you said you've done the research and you looked at everything,
Yeah.
but what makes you feel like you are qualified for that position now?
So the upfront answer is the Constitution.
Yeah.
It tells me I meet the requirements to serve as this, but I understand the real question
Yes.
is my background.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with my background.
Yeah.
I have, and I get asked that, what's your background, politics?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is none. But I have been put into some very difficult situations
Yeah.
in the Army, and even since leaving the Army, as a police officer, when I was in the academy,
Yeah.
I was elected by my fellow recruits
Right.
to be the class president.
Right.
So, and so in addition to learning a new job, now I'm herding cats.
Oh
So-
yeah, yeah. I know that comment.
So,
Yes, yes.
yep.
I feel like
So-
we all have herded cats
Yeah,
before
right.
in our lifetime.
So that, and then while I was in the Army, 2 times I assumed platoon sergeant responsibilities in a theater of operation.
Yeah.
And just kind of into context, if for those that may not know, and it was two separate, like I said, once in Iraqi freedom and the other one was enduring freedom.
Yeah.
For Afghanistan. The Iraqi freedom, that platoon, I think our largest personnel wise, we had like 55 soldiers.
Okay.
So I showed up we were based in Kuwait. So I showed up and assumed these responsibilities.
Yeah.
I had spent a week with these guys ahead of the deployment.
Yeah.
So, now I have to learn, the personality of this organization, the leaders, my subordinate leaders,
Right.
my platoon leader.
Yeah.
And same thing in Afghanistan. That one was different. I was 3 months into the deployment, and they said, "Hey, guess what? You are leaving this platoon that you trained with and put together to deploy with, and
Yeah.
now you get to go to this other
To
platoon
do the same
to do
thing.
it all over again."
Yeah.
And that one, they switched out myself and the platoon leader at the same time.
Oh wow.
So just those leadership challenges there,
Yeah.
and just I was a drill sergeant. Like I said, squad leader. So a lot of leadership.
So you've been in a lot of authoritative
Yeah.
leaders position
Yes.
where especially in the war situations, in very high intense, think on your toes kind of situation.
Yes. So just that leadership, taking it to Washington, D.C., because I see that we have a problem within the Republican Party of holding a line.
Yeah.
We cave, and it's got to stop.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the voting records of our current representative,
Yeah.
and I'm not super excited about it.
Yeah.
What we're hearing now currently is the current National Defense Authorization Act, which it's just the House version, so it probably means nothing.
Yeah.
Because what we will probably wind up getting is pretty similar to what we have gotten.
Yeah.
But we're hearing now, hey, we passed this thing, we got rid of all the DEI stuff, 19% pay raise, and telling us the good stuff. However, what we're not hearing is the previous
Yeah.
National Defense Authorization Act.
Mhm.
Within that, they put in the DEI, and we got a yes vote. We got a yes vote from
Right.
our representative and this was the December of 23.
Okay.
And they put in, like I said, the DEI stuff, the funding for gender affirming care, which you can set any type of belief system aside. That has nothing to do with the readiness of our military.
Right.
And I will tell you, it is actually going to be a detractor. Because now you have a person that going through this process, they're going to be completely non-deployable, probably going to be mostly useless in garrison. So now
Oh.
everybody else has to pick up the slack for this.
I hate that.
And we're taxpayer funding this.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, if anything happens to go wrong with that procedure, any of the process, they'll file a claim.
Yeah.
And so now the rest of their life, they will get compensation for that.
Okay.
To include, and something I hadn't really considered until a gentleman last night mentioned it, and I don't know all that much about the process, but
Yeah.
medication for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah.
So now, because they started in there, and it may be a claim either way.
Yeah.
So just but like I said, we got a yes vote, and now it's like, hey, we got rid of it all. I'm like, you don't get to take credit
Yeah.
for fixing something, a problem you created,
Yeah.
or at least be honest about it, and
Yeah.
be like, hey, okay,
Be more transparent about it for
be like, all
sure.
right, yeah, all right, I voted for it last time.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he did say he voted yes last time because of a 5% pay raise for the service, for
Okay.
service members, which I'm good with pay raises, but not at the cost of,
Of
I
what?
mean, I can
Yeah.
just imagine, any of my platoons or squads or organizations I was a part of, like, really? Now,
Yeah.
you got enough people, sandbagging and not pulling their weight
Yeah.
without now adding this.
I
Like,
gotcha.
so, yeah, so just that,
Just
I
a
can
little,
look at.
yeah.
So
Me
some
and
things
Tom
in
can
there.
talk forever
Yeah.
and hours on this.
So, just those things in the background.
Yeah.
And then I do, that is a big question and a concern that, I have been asked, like,
Yeah.
because that kind of a natural progression of things, like,
Mhm.
all right. And I've been told that, hey, just, go like do, county commission or whatever. But my counter to that is, okay, it's learning a new job, which I have done over and over and over
Yes.
throughout my life. And two, how are we better now having a career politician class?
Oh,
Like,
that's true.
We're not.
We're not.
So, yeah, it's just,
There you
it's
go.
time for change.
I
And
love
that's what
it.
qualifies me.
So you can follow Tom on several social
yes,
medias.
I'm
You
all
can
over the
on
joint.
Facebook,
Yep.
X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and Getter.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
As far as I know.
We don't know, but with that said,
Yep.
you can follow him. It's at Tom Davis for Congress on Facebook, but on X, Instagram, and Getter, it's Tom Davis 10-4.
Yes.
And that's because we're the District 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, I left off YouTube.
Oh,
And
there you go.
Tom Davis TN4 on the YouTube also.
Okay.
And I have at least 25 videos up, I think,
Okay.
just specifically for the
And
campaign.
if anybody has any questions, not
Yep.
only can they can reach you on there, but you
Yep.
also have a Gmail
I
account.
do have it. Yep. So that's Tom Davis TN4
Okay.
at gmail.com.
There you go.
All
Keep
right.
it simple. I love it. I love it.
And thank you, Kelly, for putting this on.
Anytime.
And it's quite the showing, and a lot
of people have came out, and that was the goal. I'll say this again: if you are in the area and you want to come out and hang out with some of the candidates, you can. They're going to be here till most of them are going to be out here till 3, so you can do a little Q&A on your own. But if not, you can always message them. We're going to give you all their links later on today. And I appreciate everybody coming today. It's muted. My bad. Let's redo that. That was Thomas E. Davis. He is running for the again, the United States House of Representative District 4. I do apologize. I didn't know my mic was not on. And him and Joshua James, and of course, Scott Desjardins are also on the ballot. And of course, Mr. Desjardins is the incumbent in that current position seat. So if you want to see them move on or win, you've got to go vote for one of those 3 today so they can be moved forward to the November ballot. And of course, unfortunately, Joshua James and Mr. Desjardins could not make it. I didn't get a response from Mr. James's team, but I did find out that Mr. Desjardins was they were called to the House in Washington on that day, and that's why he couldn't come. But if you went to the ice cream social that day, two of his representatives that handle his affairs if he can't be at places, one being Miss Hannah. She was there, and I do apologize. I cannot remember the other girl's name that was there. But they were there, and they were answering questions on behalf of Mr. Desjardins. So again, continuing on, up next, we are going to, like I said, talk to Tennessee State Representative District 16 for us, Miss Janice Boland. Now, on the primary election ballot, that she has nobody running against her in this primary election, but you still need to vote. But with that said, coming up in the November election, she does have, I do know at least one. He's independent, Mr. Scott Bean. He was also there with us. That will be on the November ballot against Miss Bowling. So, with that said, first and foremost, we would like to get her video out there first to you guys. And it's always a privilege to hang out with these folks. And I will say
First
that
9.
I got to actually meet I got to see Miss Boland yesterday at the Prayer for Tennessee. It was just a great thing that what Mr. Fisk and all of them have put together, visiting 95, I have to say this, visiting 95 counties in 31 days. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And some of the reports and stuff that they said about visiting all these 95 counties, it's just great. And, and this is not the end. I do believe that they kept repeating this over and over, that Tennessee is going to be the driving force that starts this. And but with that said, it was just such a privilege to get to meet Miss Bowling once again. It's always a pleasure having her sit next to me. Girl power, as I always say. But with that said, here is the interview that I had with Miss Bowling at our Shake and Howdy on July the 11th.
With us now live, and I'm so excited she could make it today, is Miss Janice Bowen.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate being here.
Yeah.
I've looked forward to this since the cruise.
I know. I caught her in May, like the very beginning. I was like, hey, I got this idea. And I was like, what can we do? What can we do? And so I'm so glad she was actually the first person I told.
Oh, well,
So,
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Thank
This is
you.
fun.
Well, you were speaking of the cruise. Y'all rolled in that nice little red little. What kind of car is that? I don't even know.
Don't ask me what kind of car.
I don't know cars.
I don't know cars. I drive 2003 Acura MDX.
Okay.
So that shows you that I pay no attention to cars, or I wouldn't be driving.
There you go. I only know what vehicle I drive. I don't know anybody else's.
That's right.
But with that said, for anybody, I always say that's been living under a rock, you are the incumbent. Is that how I
Yes.
say that? Because I'm just learning everything. This is my first political thing ever, so I'm learning as I go. But tell everybody who you are and what position you're in, and go from there.
I'm Janice Bowling, and I'm the state senator for District 16. In the last reconstruction of our different states' boundaries and whatever within the districts, they changed Senate District 16. So we're not what we were when I first ran.
Oh, okay.
But what we are now is Coffee County, which is where I'm from. I live in Tullahoma.
Yeah.
And then they also have Franklin County, Lincoln County to that west part. Then we have Grundy County, Warren County, and DeKalb County.
Oh, wow.
So we have 6 counties. It used to be a circle with Grundy in the middle and the 6 counties around. It used to be 7.
Mhm.
Now it's 6.
Ooh.
And it's actually a funky J, kind of sort of.
Okay.
So for Janice, I'm just going to
Oh,
pretend.
J for Janice. There you
J
go.
for Janice. And it's just a wonderful district, though, because it's still the same kind of folks. It's rural Tennessee, and it's pro-God, pro-family, pro-gun, pro-life. I mean, these people just know who they are and why they're there, and they're working people. I love it. I love my Senate district.
So how long have you been in this position?
It will be 12 years
There you
in
go.
November.
Okay.
And so that will be 3 years. There's a 4-year term or 3
Okay.
terms. It's a 4-year term. And this time I had prayed and prayed and prayed about whether I should run again, and had talked to the leadership in all the
Right.
counties to say, do you all have someone that's prepared
Yeah.
to step into this? Because it's it's not an easy role.
Yeah.
It's something the Lord has to tell you to do,
Yeah.
or you need
It's
to
a
have your head
calling.
examined. It is
Yeah.
a calling. It's a service.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I prayed about it. And then in January, he looked at me and he said, Janice, when did God tell you not to run again?
Oh.
And that's what I said. I said, Timble, why didn't you ask me that question 6 months ago?
Yeah.
He hasn't told me not to run again.
Yeah.
He said in the word, when he tells us, I've shown thee, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. He didn't have to tell you that every year.
No.
He tells you that once, and
You
he
should
means,
know.
and you should know.
Yeah.
So that settled it. I felt great about
Yeah.
it then, and I've been off and running, if you will, and going to have a jingle that'll start up
Nice.
once the primary is over. I don't have any opposition to the primary, which is a blessing. There are 2 people running against me, an independent and a Democrat,
Yes.
but that won't be till November,
Right.
because right now the Democrat is in his own primary and the independent doesn't have a primary.
Correct.
And so then I'm in the Republican primary and I don't have a primary.
There you go.
So I'm a conservative. I haven't been spending a lot of money. I've
Yeah.
just been doing the things that I normally do.
And like I love how you guys and everybody here that I've talked to so far, you do more face to face. I love the face to face stuff, not the phone calls or the text
Yeah.
messages. I love how you can be involved in the community and
Yeah.
you know the communities.
Mhm.
And I think that's really big. And that's why we do events like this for
Mhm.
people to come out. But with that said, I know you got tons of qualifications, but what I would like to ask you is, what have been some benefits that you've enjoyed being in the seat? Like you're like, this is why I do what I do.
The benefits are when I'm able to help a county in an issue that they've having and been fighting over or fighting with, and all of a sudden we can find the solution. I'm very solution oriented, and I want to help the people to help themselves. I don't like big government, so when it's in there, like Grundy County,
Right.
for instance, Grundy County. Excuse me, I got something on my lip. In Grundy County, they were one of the most economically depressed counties in the United
right.
States. And we got in there and started working with Grundy Countyans to help themselves. And now Grundy County is no longer an economically depressed
That's
county.
awesome.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so to be able to be part of that and to bring them up, and because it's a fantastic county
It
and
is.
they have so many things. And right now, tourism,
Mhm.
which after agriculture, tourism is the number 2 industry in the state of Tennessee.
Yes, it is.
So they're right there. And I work with the Commissioner of Tourism to make sure that he knows what's going on in all of our area, though,
Yeah.
not just in Grundy County. And then when you help people get a road that needed to be there,
Yeah.
when you help people get a personal issue solved within a state, one of the departments, it's very difficult to negotiate and navigate some of the things. And over this last 4 years, with what I affectionately refer to as the scamdemic,
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Good title.
it really was a scamdemic, but it really did cause a lot of hardships for people.
Yeah.
And it
Trust
caused,
issues.
yes, it caused trust issues big time. And I think that we in the rural area in particular, we realized that fool me once, shame on
Mhm.
you, fool me twice,
Shame on me.
And we're not going to play that game with them
No.
anymore.
No.
And that was one of the things I really got to do too over the last 4 years, is help people fight against an overreaching state government and
Yeah.
federal government.
Yeah.
Because the federal government with Biden was saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I tried to tell the people, I said, he has no authority to do that.
Mm-mm.
So he can say everything he wants to.
Yeah.
But I could tell you everybody's got to wear purple
Yeah.
on Thursdays. And you would look at me like I was crazy
Yeah.
because I have no authority to do that.
Right.
Well, when he says something that's not within his constitutional bailiwick, then just look at him and say, bless his heart.
Yeah. That's what the Southern
That's
states
what
say.
the Southern states say, just well, bless your heart. And then we just keep on doing what we need to do and what we know is right. And the local counties were doing that,
Yeah.
Kelly. They were working together. And during the first part of the scamdemic, the 7 counties that I had then,
Yeah.
we created a praise and prayer chain. And I got all of my county mayors,
Yeah.
and we would get on the phone periodically with each other and text message each other
About prayer.
because about a prayer needs,
Yeah.
about practical needs, and also because we were going through unnavigated territory at
Yeah.
that point. Just, well, we're doing this in my county and this seems to be working. We started that, but that's a mess. Don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
And it was just helping all of us to communicate and to not feel isolated, because I think part of what the intent of that scandemic was to make us feel isolated.
Yeah.
Isolated in our own homes,
Mhm.
isolated in our own towns, isolated in the states. Those things were terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And we just don't want that. We want to
We
be out.
don't
We
want
want to live. Feel the
Yes.
sunshine on our face. as
That's
I say.
exactly right.
But before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say? Like, I do want to make sure, is there anything on social media they can follow you on?
Not yet. It will come up after the primary.
Okay.
So I will have up my website after the primary,
August
Janice
the
Bowling.
1st. Yeah.
Yes. JaniceBowlingStateSenate.com. And then I'll be sending out some mailers. You'll see signs going up.
Yeah.
They're the things in the cards. I have my cards here. I'll give
Yep.
you a card.
Please do. Make
And
sure.
on the front, it's just a picture of Janice Bowling State Senate. And then on the inside, what I believe in.
Okay.
Because as I told a gentleman in Grundy County when I first ran,
Mhm.
he said, but you're a Republican. I can't vote for you. And I said, I don't mind if a Democrat votes for me if they believe in what I believe
And your
in.
values.
And I said, if you believe in these things, then you need to vote for me.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in these things, you don't want to vote for me because
Yep.
you won't like me. And we
Yep.
had a nice little conversation. And finally, I asked him after he had convinced himself a Democrat could not vote for a
Yeah.
Republican. I said, well, let me ask you one more question. Can a Democrat pray for a Republican? And he looked at me and said, yeah, I can pray for a Republican. I said, wonderful. I want you to read my card every day. I want you to pray for me every day.
Mm.
And if while you're praying, the Lord moves on you to vote for me, you better not quench the spirit.
I love
And
that.
he said, lady, I'll tell you one thing. I ain't a voting again you.
Oh,
I
there you
said,
go.
that's good. So those are the kinds of things right now as we're getting ready. It's a lot of coming to events like this.
Yes.
Thank you so much
You're
for doing
welcome.
this.
And it's like you just said, and I've reiterated this when Jeff was on here. The reason I wanted to put this on is I didn't want no debate. I wanted people to see the value of each candidate. And if the values are the same ones of yours, you know, if you share the same values, then you know who to vote for. If you don't share the same values, then it's a no brainer, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
And
right.
I think that people should know the values of somebody before they vote.
Absolutely.
Values before voting.
Values before voting. And I'll close with this. I was an alderman in Tullahoma for 15
Okay.
years, and I was district director in a congressional office when we were part of the 4th Congressional District. And so I got to see that sausage being made on either side of the state.
I got you.
And then when friends asked me to run for the state office, I said, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I realized, though, we have to have people that understand government and what government is supposed to do and what government is not supposed to do.
Correct.
That's as important
Yeah.
as what it is that you are doing.
We got to hold the line.
We've got to hold the line. And so now I'm between and interface with
Yes.
both parts of this, the federal government and the state government and the local government. And you have good working relationships, honest relationships built on trust.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. We've got to work to make sure we're pro-life, pro-God, pro-gun, all of those things, freedoms that God gives us, not the government.
Yeah.
And we have to protect those. That's our
I
responsibility.
love it. Oh, thank you for coming
Thank
on my
you.
show today. And before you leave, make sure I get your card so I can have it for the
I
future.
will. I'll give it
All
to
right.
you. Thank you.
And that is Miss Janice Bowling, everybody.
Thank you.
Warren First 931, keeping you in.
All right, that was Miss Janice Bowling. She's the incumbent for Tennessee Tennessee Senate for District 16. And while we were there, I did invite everybody else that was going to be, whether it was this ballot or the next one for November. And I had we had a huge blessing of outpour support on this Shake and Howdy event. And we actually had Mr. Scott Bean. He came out and showed up. Now he is running as independent, so he will not be on the ballot for the primary today when you go into your precinct. He's going to be on the ballot on November. So currently right now, when you go in and if you mark that button, you know, you're a Republican, the ballot for you on your sample ballot it's going to just have Janice Bowling. Nobody's running against her. So she will be moving forward excuse me, to the November, and then you're going to see the other folks on there, and one being Mr. Scott Bean, and super nice guy. He's not local here, but with that said, here is the interview that we had with Mr. Bean.
First 931 is your one stop for all things happening in Warren County. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify at Warren First 931. Join their text club or read their newsletter.
Now I have with me Scott Bean, like the Pinto.
That's right. That's right.
You should just make a card
It's
like that. I mean,
I
it's
should probably
catchy,
put that on a
man.
sign.
You should, and just put like Pinto Beans on there.
Right.
But with that said, of course, you are running against Janice
Mhm.
Boland, and tell everybody now I don't know you from Adams, but I would love to get to know you today. So with that said, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about you, like your family, where you're from, and all that.
Originally from Winchester.
Okay.
I grew up around Broadview, Harmony, till late 80s. Well, let me say this. That's where I grew up hauling hay or
Okay,
cows
gotcha.
and everything else.
Country boy.
Yeah, it's
It's hard work.
Plenty of blisters on my hands
Mhm.
growing up. Moved to Lincoln County. I'm
Okay.
a Lincoln County resident now. Live down in Fayetteville. Graduated high school down there. Went back to Middle Tennessee State. Went to school there. Studied political science. So that's probably where I got my first taste of
Political
something.
stuff. Yeah.
Trying to be a public servant.
Yeah.
Married, kids, and later in life lived actually in Tullahoma.
Okay.
My oldest two children went to the Tullahoma school system. Were great experience. They
Yeah.
did a lot of good people. Moved back to Lincoln County now in Fayetteville, and I guess I found my wife into running for office. So
Gotcha.
she's been super supportive, and all my family been very
Yeah.
supportive of it.
So with that said, what made you decide to run for office? Because what was the trigger that was like, I think I want to see it. Was it like
Mhm.
something to change? Like
Well, first, let me say, commend Senator Bowling.
yeah.
Tons of experience, has done a lot of good legislation for our
community.
state, and a pillar of the state. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. And we've had discussion. I always tell a lot of Miss Bowling. I told many friends of mine, my family, I'll be 52 in September. It's time for someone from our generation to plant our cleats in the ground and start injecting ourselves into what we need moving forward. If anything, we learn from our previous generation,
Correct.
and passing that torch sometimes is what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's the generation behind me is looking for my generation
Correct.
to help them
Yeah.
in the future.
Be the leader.
Right.
I got you.
That and it's time to have a different generation of voice and
Yeah.
mindset and stuff. Now I've been told by many people that I was probably born a generation too late.
There you go.
It's growing up working on farms and just hard work. I
Yeah.
learned a lot of life lessons from.
I gotcha. So again, for everybody that doesn't know, now, or do you live in Tullahoma now, or do you live
in
now?
Fayetteville.
You live in Fayetteville.
Mhm.
Well,
I
you
do.
traveled a long time today.
I actually live 3 miles from the Alabama state line.
Oh, wow.
So it's round trip when I travel
Mm-hmm.
up to DeKalb County and Smithville, and I've met plenty of people there, and it's been a great journey. It's approximately 250 miles.
I was gonna say,
So-
if we had an award today, you would have got the most travel,
The
the longest travel.
It's I've covered about since April about 3,000 miles.
I was gonna say, and as you're doing your campaign trail, what are you going to be hitting up next after this today? Where else are you going to be going that people might can catch you at?
I will actually be, Lincoln County is having their local election forum
Okay.
tonight at 6 o'clock. Encourage anyone from Fayetteville that might be listening to go out,
Yeah.
listen to the candidates. Very, very good people
Yeah.
running for office. And I think that's something that a lot of people may not understand, or voters may not really pay attention to.
Yeah.
Is anyone that's willing to take time to be a public servant
Yeah.
out of their day and out of their work schedule, whatever, I commend it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not everybody wants to take the time to do it,
Correct.
but
It may not be
It's
the
not.
funnest job at times.
no, I'm sure.
But there's a lot of, I call it
Yeah.
grunt work you got to go
That's right.
through. And
That's
you
right.
get that because, the first,
Yeah,
you're ready to put your boots on, right?
I've when we started this campaign stuff, I'm totally self-funded.
Yeah.
So I take work out of my check every week to pay for what I need to do.
Right.
And my wife bought me 2 new pairs of shoes.
Oh,
So
God love her.
I'm
Shout
about
out
to wear
to the
them on the house.
wifey.
So, but it's something. I
Yeah.
think it's just
Yeah.
for something different.
Yeah.
Commend the future or the previous, administrations and everything. It's time to do something.
It's just time for a change. I get it. Totally understand.
And
So if anybody needs to follow you on any social media outlets,
Sure.
can they do that?
sure.
Where can they find you at?
Scott Bean for Tennessee State Senate, District 16.
Okay.
There were a few changes in the district maps last year.
Right.
Lincoln County is now part of 16.
Okay.
And I think, don't hold me to this, but I think Marion County is out of it.
Okay.
So they did some
Change.
adjusting.
Okay. Because I know this year there was adjustments around the board on
Yes.
on all the
Right.
areas.
Yeah.
But is it just Facebook is where they can follow you?
Right now, I'm working on a web page.
And then because I think Miss Mullen said this, they can vote for you coming up in the November
Nope.
election,
Mhm.
correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I'm running as a nonpartisan independent. I get asked a lot. I mean, a whole lot.
Yeah.
Why I chose to run as an independent. I consider myself to be a pretty conservative guy. You don't grow up in a milk barn and not have certain values, but
Right.
I just,
Do you lean towards more conservative?
I'll be honest.
Because most farmers I know are.
They are.
Yeah.
And that my mother is a devout Republican.
Okay.
My father is a devout Democrat.
Wow.
So it's it makes for interesting conversations.
Okay. I was gonna say you came from both
Yeah,
sides. I love that.
But studying, I will have to say, in college when I studied political science, it took me about a year
Yeah.
to realize that the partisan system is really not good.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing it does is divide a community.
Right.
The worst thing we have is division, right?
Yeah.
And it's time for people to come together.
Yeah.
And it's
We need to
know,
raise people up, not put people
we do.
down.
Excuse me.
You're fine.
Told a gentleman the other day, I was speaking to a group, and he said, "Well, what made you run as an independent?" He remembered my grandfather. I said, "Well, honestly, I think conceptually it's wrong for a party to make me think I got to hate half this country."
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. But if anybody needs to get in touch with you besides social media, is there an email account, any website, anything else?
It should be up by next week.
Next
My
week.
website.
Okay.
Working on it now.
Okay. And once you get that, just like I told everybody else,
Let you know.
please let
Absolutely.
me know, and so we can share it on our social
Absolutely.
media outlets.
Look forward to it.
And if there's anything we can ever help you do here at Word First, I would love
Hey,
to help you.
Thank you very
You're a
much.
great
for the
guy, man.
invitation. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And anything else before I forget I didn't mention?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I'm gonna
By
leave
the
it
way,
right
this
there.
is his
This
first
my radio
podcast interview.
yeah.
I'm so glad it was me.
I have a friend that has a podcast out of Murfreesboro.
Uh-huh.
Kelly Holcomb used to play football
Oh,
for me.
I'm Kelly too.
Yeah.
Look at that coincidence.
We're of course a sports guy, and
Yeah.
I try to catch his, but Yeah, this is my
You
first
did
one.
great. I want everybody give him a thumbs up
All
later,
right.
okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Scott, so much.
All right.
Warren First 931, keeping you in the know.
All right, guys. So that was Scott Bean. And as I stated, he is going to be on the November ballot. Coming up next, like it says, we're going to be talking with the assessor of property position. Now, currently holding that position is Beth Woodley Martin, and we're going to be speaking with her first. And then after that, we will be talking with Jeff McGee as well. But before I do that, I'm going to go and go through this sample ballot with you as we are going through this together with my interviews. So we already went through the United States Senate, the United States House of Representatives, District 4, the United States House of Representatives, District 6, followed by Tennessee Senate District 16, and of course, Tennessee House of Representative District 43. And that is the official ballot for the state of Tennessee, the Warren County, for the primary election today for the if you're going in as a Republican primary. Now, the Democratic primary today, you have United States Senate, Marquita Bradshaw, Lola Brown, Gloria Johnson, Civil Miller Watkins. And again, we try to reach out to everybody when we were doing interviews. And I knew I was going to get a lot of outpour from our local folks, which I was so excited about. But unfortunately, a lot of our the Democratic side wasn't able to show up because they live so far away. And I did get some responses like from Bradshaw and Brown and folks like that. But the United States House of Representative in the District 4 area, no one is running against her right now. Victoria Isabella Broderick. United States House of Representative in District 6 is Laura Bragman, Clay Faircloth. Also, I think that's Fouch or Fought. The Tennessee Senate District 16 is Wayne Steele. No one's running against him. The State Executive Committee Women District 16. It says Ruba Blackwell. And there's no candidate that qualified for the Tennessee House of Representative in District 43. But you can do a write-in if you are a registered Democratic primary voter, though that is your ballot when you go in today for the primary. And then, of course, the Warren County, Tennessee. Now, this is our local things that are going on. Oh, yeah, I can make it bigger. I was like, how do I blow this up without like squinting? With that said, today, of course, as soon as we get off here, we're going to, next up, I should say not get off, but assessor of property. We're going to talk to Miss Beth Woodley Martin, followed by Jeff T. McGee. And then last but definitely not least, the school board District 2. 2 people are up for that position. If you live in the District 2 area, let me be clear, you will not see these names unless you're in the District 2 area, which I am not a District 2. I am a District 4. So with that said, up for election is Jarvis Johnson. He's running against the independent candidate, Bill Zeckman, which is currently holding that position. He's the incumbent. The other school board is District 4, which is ours. Matthew Brown has no one running against him. School board District 6 is Tommy Kulwell. And then they have 2 things, the judicial retention question, Supreme Court at large. It says, shall Dwight Tarwater be retained in the office as judge of the Supreme Court at large or be replaced? And you choose which one you want. And then, of course, the Court of Criminal Appeals, hold on one second, of Appeals, Western Division, you have to vote as that. It says, shall Matthew J. Wilson be retained in the office as a judge or the Court of Criminal Appeals, Western Division, or be replaced? And you have to choose retain or replace in that position. So again, right now, though, we are going to be interviewing. I wanted y'all to get all these in because we got to hurry up before they open up the doors at 11 here. But this is Miss Beth Woodley Martin. And hope you enjoy these. And then we're going to do Jeff McGee, followed by Jarvis Johnson. So again, we're going to try to breeze through
931
these
is your
as quickly
one-stop.
as possible now, because it's just getting closer to time for the doors to open up here. So here you go.
Yes,
Okay.
girl.
So I am
Spill the
married
tea.
to I am married to Lee Martin.
Okay.
I have been for 32 years. I don't know how because I'm not quite that old yet, but
You don't look that old. No.
thank you. No, we have 2 children, Micah Martin and his fiancee, Olivia Walker.
Aw.
Maybe related.
Maybe related to a lot of
And-
walkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our daughter Ashley and her husband Jax Price.
Okay.
And they just blessed us this past February with twins. So
Oh.
we have Mila and Lane.
Okay.
My parents are Alton and Kay Woodley. My mother-in-law is Carol Martin. And my brother is Jeff Woodley and his wife is Regina, who was a
nice.
teacher at Bobby Ray and just retired.
Well, there you
So,
go.
yes.
I love that. So why, why do you love being the property assessor?
The property assessor. Well, I just like helping people.
Yeah.
And actually, would you have asked me 30 years ago if I would ever be the property assessor? I would have probably said, what in the world do they
Yeah.
do?
Why do you think yes.
But the job become available and I went to work for Carolyn Miller, the previous assessor. And so, when she retired, a lot of the people retired with her. And so it was myself and Darren Pack and one other employee that was going to stay for like 6 more months. So Darren and I just decided, hey,
Let's do this.
let's do it. One
I
of us has
love
got to do
it.
it. So he said, everybody in the county, you need to be the one to run. So I decided to do it. And I love helping people.
Yeah,
So,
Same.
and this job is definitely about helping people.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, you already answered one of my questions, but just to reiterate, tell everybody again, why your qualifications for this job.
So honestly, I'm basing a lot of it on my experience,
Yeah.
integrity, honesty, dedication. If you drive by that office after hours, you will see that I'm there many nights.
Yeah.
I'm dedicated to it.
Yeah.
I know
It's
this
your
is just-
child, right?
it's part of my family,
Yeah.
So, and here's what I think. I'm dealing with somebody else's property. So I want to treat it like I would my own.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like the golden rule.
Yeah.
Treat everyone else as you would want to be treated. So that's the way I look at it. And
Yeah.
so I dedicate a lot of my life to it.
Yeah.
So
I love that. So if anybody needs to follow you, Beth, on social media, can they do that right now?
well, I don't actually have like a Facebook page or anything. So I do
Oh.
have a Facebook page personally, but I don't actually have one set up for the campaign trail.
Like, But if they
Um,
need to ever catch you, can they call you at the office if
Oh,
they have
absolutely.
any questions, things like that?
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to reiterate this like a broken record, but early voting does start on the 12th
Yes.
and it goes on to the 27th. And then the primary is on August the 1st.
Mhm.
And so if anybody has any questions between now and then, they can reach you at your office, correct?
Absolutely.
And what's the phone number there?
It is 931-473-3450.
I always try to throw a trick question, even though you've been in there forever. I never remember my phone number. So I like how you gave that look and I'm like, she's got this.
Oh yeah, I got it.
But before I let you go, is there anything else you would like to tell everybody that's listening?
I would just like to thank everyone for their past support and look forward to continued support in the future.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I would appreciate everyone's vote and support. And as you said earlier, the early voting starts tomorrow, runs through the 27th. So take advantage of that. I always say, you never know what could happen on August 1st that you
Yeah.
might not be able to get out there. So it's available. And actually, I think the second week of early voting, they will be open in Morrison and
Yes,
Centertown.
the last week of voting, I believe it
Yes.
is Morrison and Centertown. We just talked about
Yes.
that. Yeah. So
take
if you don't
advantage.
have opportunities to take advantage of going to the administrative building,
Mhm.
where is that? That's also where
Yes.
your office is located, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
But if you can't get there, you can always go to the Morrison or
All right, that is Beth Woonley Martin. Yes, Beth. I'm trying to like get through some stuff. People are texting me and going through. We've got so much to get through today and very little time. So, with that said, of course, we have coming up is the one that is running against her, and that is Jeff T. McGee. And we got to interview him as well on that day. So here is his interview.
First
Just getting right
931 is your
into
one
it,
stop for all things.
because I just want to make sure
Here
everybody
in
gets it.
Morrison. So with that said, first and foremost, because this is a very non-formal come and go event, and I got with me Jeff McGee. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And he is running for property assessor, correct?
Yes.
And with that said, tell everybody who you are, give a little bio of yourself right fast.
Well, my name's Jeff McGee. I grew up in the Dibble Midway area, farming pretty much my whole younger life. And then ever since then, I've had 2 or 3 different jobs and I've worked with the public. Right now, I work for IMI.
Okay.
I'm actually on a break right now.
That's why I said, don't leave, don't leave. I wanted you on because a lot of these people, I wanted to stress this out, is the reason I've done it from 12 to 3 is because a lot of these people that are running against is still working,
Right.
Every day. And so this is when I want to catch you on your lunch break.
Yeah.
So with that said, what made you first decide to run for property assessor?
Well, I ran 4 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't lose by a lot.
Yeah.
I want to get out there and where the public has a better experience and they know their property assessor.
Yeah.
I feel like right now they're not familiar with our current one.
Yeah.
I want to be more out in the public because I've worked with the public for at least 30 years. I
Right.
know the geographic area of our county. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just want to make the experience better for them.
Make a better life.
Because
for
I mean, with the job, I don't believe my opponent has done a bad job at all because she
Yeah.
follows the state rules like you're supposed to.
Right.
But there are a personal touch that I believe is missing.
I got you. I totally understand. So, and of course, because I know we're on a time crunch, but what makes you qualified for this position?
Well, just by knowing the geographic area of our county and knowing the importance of the value and the way people are and the way they think around here,
Yeah.
and try to make it fair.
Right.
For everybody, not just the people with a lot of property or with a lot of money, but fair for everyone.
Gotcha.
And I hope that once I get in there, I can see some things that hopefully I can correct.
Yeah, and implement a
Yes.
new way.
Yes.
I got you. So, if anybody needs to follow you on any social media outlet, how can they follow you?
Well, then follow me on Facebook.
Okay.
And just Jeff T. McGee.
Okay.
My email address is jmcgeep@gmail.com.
Okay.
And that's about only social media that I'm on.
I gotcha. So, and again, is there any other events coming up that you're going to be a part of
Yeah,
that
well,
people can meet you?
Tonight from 5 to 7 at the farmers market, we're having an ice cream get together. The ice cream is free to anyone who wants to come. It's a kickoff for early voting for the
Okay.
Republican Party.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, that's right. They're doing an ice cream social. Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
ice cream
5 to
tonight
7.
from 5 to 7. And then after that, I'll be up at the early voting precinct, for whenever I can be there. I can't be there all the time.
Right. I understand. And like we talked to Susie Davin.
All right. So that is Jeff T. McGee. As I said, I'm breezing through these because I want to make sure that. Okay, there we go. Because I'm trying to listen to these now as best I can so I can make sure I get everybody in that we interviewed at the Shake and Howdy event at the detention center. But that was Jeff T. McGee. He's running against Beth Woodley Martin for the assessor of property. And if you live in the Warren County area, that is going to be on the ballot. And so when you go, I think you go in as a Democrat or Republican, I do believe you get to see that. Don't count me on that. But it says the official ballot, county general election, Warren County, Tennessee, August 1st. The assessor property's got Republican Party nominee Jeff T. McGee and Beth Woodley Martin's the independent. And then last but definitely not least, I wanted to get all these in that I could. And unfortunately, we didn't get Mr. Zeckman in. I called and emailed on this day, but Jarvis Johnson, which is the Republican Party nominee, he did show up that day. And he came in, and it was just really great. Like I said, we had an amazing turnout at our Shake and Howdy. It was very laid back. Everybody was having a good time, getting along. You know, it was kind of like the party before the storm, as I say. But with that said, I know a lot of people are going to be showing out today to vote because from what I heard early this morning, we did have Jeff Barnes told me that, and a
It's
couple other people
931 is your
actually too, told me that they had heard that there was not a huge turnout for the early election. So there should be a definite huge turnout for today for sure. And so, with that said, don't forget we will be doing live coverage tonight at 7:20 at 7 p.m. You're going to see our promo play with all our amazing sponsors, and I'll give them a shout out before we leave on today's podcast. But I just want to thank everybody that has made this possible. I want to give a huge shout out to my team. First and foremost, Jonathan Womack from Community TVTN for partnering up with me on all these projects that we do together, as well as thank you to my girls on my staff that help volunteer as well. And then I want to say thanks to Jeff Barnes and all them and the community for allowing me to do this, because I'm a firm believer the more you know, the better we are. But with that said, here is now I'm gonna come back out again, but I'll be back on. But this is Jarvis Johnson. If you live in the District 2 area, and I can't tell you the addresses of that, but when you go in and you do your ballot, when you vote today, if you see that your school board District 2, you're going to be voting either for Jarvis Johnson, which is the Republican Party nominee, or Mr. Bill Zeckman, the independent candidate. So here, without further ado, here is Jarvis talking about why he's doing what he's doing.
For District
Two.
2.
Yes.
I was about to say my district. I just found out what mine was. I'm District 8, but I'm not running for anything. But with that said, you are running against the incumbent
Bill Zeck.
Bill Zeckman. And first and foremost, because I was really clueless when I talked to Jarvis about this, I was clueless about how the voting goes because to me, I'm like, I've never seen it on my ballot pop up before. But when people go and vote, whether it's early voting or the primary, or is it going to also be in the November as well, or is it just for this?
It will be determined by August 1st.
Okay. So with that said, tell everybody about first and foremost I know who you are, but tell everybody who you are, talk about your family and what you guys do.
Okay, my name is Jarvis Johnson. Most of you know me as Officer Jarvis. I work for the Warren County Sheriff Department. I do not work for the schools. There is a misconception since I'm a school resource officer that I work for the schools, but I do not. There's nothing that the schools do that benefit me in any way financially. That's a separate entity. I'm a school resource officer, and I have been for almost 2 decades. I've been in law enforcement for 24 years. And I have the opportunity and the privilege to pour into young people's lives every day. I work in the schools. I'm actually also the captain over all the school resource officers. We have 14 in Warren County. We have 3 at the high school, 2 at the middle school, and 1 at every elementary school. And I'm the supervisor, which gives me the opportunity to float to every school, which also gives me the opportunity to talk to teachers, the administrative staff. And what we often forget is the kids. The kids know more about what's happening in the school than anyone. And by having this opportunity, I can see firsthand what's happening in the schools. No one else that's running or currently on the board has that opportunity. They don't work in the schools. I work in the schools. Now, once again, I don't work for the schools. But I work in the schools, so I see firsthand what is needed. I'm a conservative. I'm also a pastor here in Warren County. I pastor out in Rock Island area. And in addition to that, I'm also on the radio for the Voice of the Servants radio broadcast.
Yes, you are.
I have spent over 24 years serving my community, whether it's law enforcement or in the ministry. And I believe that's the most important thing we can do is pour back into our community.
Correct. And, going back to the kids, I think that's one highlight, a feature that somebody on the school board needs to know, the voice of the children, because right now they can't vote. So they have to tell their parents, so by you being in there, it gives you that voice. And with that said, like, let's just say that you won the school board. Are you still going to be able to do your job that you're doing now? So you still have that communication with the children?
Absolutely. The school board meets once a month. In November, they usually meet twice because they don't meet in December.
Okay.
So that doesn't affect my day-to-day job. I'll still do my job. I'll still be boots on the ground. I'll still interact with the kids and the students.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids, the staff, and administrative
Yeah.
team of every school.
Yeah.
And they know me firsthand.
Yeah.
You can ask anybody in Warren County who
Oh,
Officer
yeah.
Jarvis is, and they know who I
Oh,
am.
everybody knows you.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you as,
Yeah.
Officer Jarvis and
Right.
and like at the time I was scared of him
Oh, my
because you
goodness.
did not, but then once I got to know him, I got to
Yes.
him, I'm like, he is a cool dude, but at the same time, he's a guy you want on your team.
Absolutely. And being still in the school and
Yeah.
serving on the school board, I'll have that unique perspective that no one
Yeah.
else does. Another thing that I think I offer that no one else does is we have businessmen on the school board.
Yeah.
There is a business side to the school board.
Yeah.
We have former educators. There's
need to
educational
have that.
part. You got to have
Yes.
that. But what we don't have is someone that specializes in school safety.
Yeah.
And that's what my background's in. We need to have the safest schools because we can talk about the numbers all day long and they're not good.
Yeah.
But you have to create an environment that the kids can learn in. And first and foremost, they have got to be safe.
Yeah.
So that is my top priority, to make the schools as safe as possible. I'm against radical spending. I'm for supporting the teachers. We need a voice from the parents. The parents need to be involved in this, and they
Yeah.
need someone they can trust. And plus, once again, we've got to listen to the kids. They know
I
firsthand.
know. And speaking of the safety of the children, what are some of the things that you've seen throughout the years
Mhm.
of being an officer of the security that hasn't taken much measure, if you can?
That needs to be improved upon.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I'm very concerned about is when we do a building project, there's something called CPTED.
Okay.
It's crime prevention through environmental design. That's what it stands for. And CPTED is a training that we go through in law enforcement. And what it is how you design a building so it looks aesthetically pleasing, but it's inherently safe. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If you go to like a store in Murfreesboro, and in front of the store, you have these large planters that are several tons, but they have flowers growing out of them,
Yeah.
but they're in front of the front door. To most people, that just looks really pretty.
Yeah.
But it's there to prevent people from driving through the front window. So it creates safety.
I would not have known
Right.
that.
And then the building is laid out in certain ways that if someone were to come in and want to do harm, you can hide or you can evacuate.
Yeah.
And what you do is you design a building in such a way that it's inherently safe. If I'm on that board with this training, when we do expansions of schools, I can look at a new classroom build and say, okay, we need multiple points of exit. We need places that kids can hide.
Yeah.
And we also have we need to build it in such a way we can barricade a door if we need
gotcha.
to. And so no one has that perspective. No one
Yeah.
has that training. And that's something I think I can offer.
And with that said, we've seen so many schools in the past few years that's been affected by, bad situations.
Right.
I'm not going to get all into it, but you always want to stay updated in these programs that you're talking about, safety and stuff. Is that a year round? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly?
I get updates almost every day. I have
Okay.
connections to.
Because that's what I was going to ask.
Right.
Because there's always something new
Right.
that pops up, like so and so got through this way.
Right.
But so you're on that all the time.
Absolutely. My connections to the sheriff department, the local police department, Homeland Security, I'm updated. I talk to these people every day.
Yeah.
So if something is happening in another county, we can go ahead and get ready for it before it happens here in Warren County.
I got you.
This is another thing that we've got to consider. There are trends that are going all over the nation, whether it's vapes, certain type of drugs,
Yeah.
fentanyl, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need someone on that board that understands these trends so that we can combat it before it even comes
Yeah,
here.
Tide
Now, we
Pods,
do-
all that crap.
Right. We have stuff like that here in Warren County, but we're doing a pretty good job of preventing it, but I think we could do better.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so by you being on the board, you want to make it for the better, not just for the
Right.
students,
Right.
but the staff,
Right.
the families, all
Right.
in general.
I think most importantly, they need to have someone on that board they see every day
Yeah.
and that they trust.
That they
You
relate
can go
to.
to any school.
Yeah.
Right now, my office is at Warren County Middle School.
Right.
You can go in that building and every single kid knows me by name.
Oh,
And they'll run up
that
to you,
just
fist bump.
breaks
One
your heart
of
happy.
one of the most blessed things I've got to do this year is in our special ed department, Miss Mary Payne. She's a
Yeah.
wonderful teacher. I've known her for years. We had a talent show, first time we've had one in
Mhm.
years. And we had a honorary position that came available for the special ed class.
Yeah.
And so what we done is we got the entire school together. The special ed class came out and they sung "You Are My Sunshine." And then I
Oh,
got to come out as a special guest with my guitar.
Yeah.
And I played with the kids, and before it's over with, the entire school was singing in one
Oh.
accord that song. It created a family environment.
Yeah.
We need leaders like that
Yeah.
that can interact with the kids, that
And
the
bring
kids can
everybody
trust.
together.
The teachers can trust, the administrative
Yeah.
staff can trust. And if we have someone like that on the board, then I can bring issues up that they come tell me
Yeah.
directly. Because sometimes if they
I
don't know
know.
who their school board member is, or if they're never in the building, they don't know who
They
to
don't
talk
know.
to.
I know. I totally agree. So with that said, before I let you go, because I know everybody's busy today, but if anybody needs to follow you or have any questions for you, how can they find you? You got social media.
I have social media, Facebook. It's Jarvis for District 2 School Boards. You can go there. You can see everything I stand for. I just believe in conservative Christian values and being the voice for those that don't often get heard. So
I agree.
Warren First 931, keeping you in the know.
Unmute my mic before I forget again. With that said, it has been a long doozy of a day, but I wanted to make sure that you guys just stay in the know and know who's on these ballots. And with that said, I'm going to bring this up. Right now, you can see this is the official Tennessee state ballot for the Republican primary. So you can see right here. Oh, well, I figured I could point, but I can't. But this, when you go in and vote, and whether you pick a Republican or Democrat, this is what you're going to see. So, if you're voting Republican, this is part of the ballot, our sample ballot, followed by, of course, the Democratic ballot. And then lastly, oh, did it give me? Yeah, it did. And then the our local ones as well running. Like we talked to this, I showed you the assessor of property, which we got to have the 2 interviews with Jeff T. McGee and Beth Woodley Martin, followed by the school board District 2, Jarvis Johnson, Bill Zeckman. And then, of course, you can see District 4 and District 6. And then the judicial retention questions at hand, which is a retain or a replace. So, again, just to give you guys what the sample ballot looks like. And of course, if you do not know what your precinct is, because I did talk to Susie this morning, their offices are open. Even though the county and city offices are closed, the admin building is open. The election commission office is open to the public. You can call them or go by there and just double check to make sure you're going to the right precinct if you do not know your precinct and if you don't have your voter's card, because on your voter card registration that you get, you can actually see the precinct, as well as you can also go on to the download the app, Go Vote TN, and when you type in, if you're a registered voter and you type all your information, it will tell you your precinct to go to as well if you just want to avoid going to the election commission's office. But with that said, we will be going live tonight, me and Jeff Barnes, at 7:20. Now at 7 p.m. we will be going start pushing our promos, the commercials, because without the support of this community, I couldn't do it. So thank you to Randall Walker Farms, Gateway Tire and Service Center, Prater's Barbecue, USA Gym, Creative Illusions, McMinnville Drug Center, Paul Holder Realty, Juicy's Wellness Cafe, Tops Frozen Yogurt and Metro Deli, as well as Cumberland Biscuit Company, Main Street Media, also Donald Hillis Realty and Auction, McMinnville Physical Therapy, Citizens Tri-County Bank, Smooth Rapids, and Reddick Brown Ford. And I want to tell you that we're going to be interviewing candidates that show up. We will play some of the old interviews that we had as well, like you saw this morning. I just wanted you guys to get a little primary coverage so you know what you're going to be getting into. And we're also going to make sure to keep up with the precinct counts that's in Warren and in White County, because we do have some White County votes that's going to make or break this election here for us on the federal stuff. And then, of course, just election updates and so forth. But we will be going live right at 7:20. You'll see our beautiful faces, all freshly made. And I just can't wait. It's just so exciting to once again partner up with Jeff Barnes, doing what we do best. And we're two people you can totally trust when it comes to the election coverage. We have literally combined together over 50 years of experience. So, with that said, make sure you tune in tonight as we are going to be broadcasting live. And I want to also say thank you to Main Street Media for partnering up with us because we are going to be going live on 97.7 FM WBMC as well as 960 WBMC. So if you don't have social media, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that, Spotify, Apple, whatever the case may be, you're going to be able to hear it on the radio tonight at 7:20. We'll be going live. They're going to be pulling our audio from our Facebook pages so you can hear that as well. So again, we'll be going live on that. We'll be going live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. And we'll be going on Wow Star, WBMC, and WAKI on Main Street Media's website or Facebook pages as well, not only on Warren First 931's social media, but as well as that. So several options of ways to get the information on the primary election coverage tonight. It has been a privilege and a blast hanging out with you guys for almost 2 hours today. But take care, God bless, and enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, Warren County, keep it first. Bye, guys. Oh, and before I forget to mention, before it lets me go, I want to say thank you to Joe from Collins River Barbecue. He is going to be providing the meal tonight for us with our election coverage. So thank you so much, Joe. I love you guys. I love my community. I love Warren County. Bye. See you later.